crafty friends, Carrie here. I want to share with you some things that I have been making recently. So these are some flowers that I've made out of crepe paper, and I really like these, and they're very simple to make. And I think they just are very pretty. So I will show you how to make some of these. And then in addition to those, I have made some of these little curled roses. And then there's ones where I put some glitter in, and one where I put a little like rhinestone in. And then, which I hadn't seen anybody else do on any videos, I made some little bitty ones. So here's some teeny little ones I made. And then like that one, I put a little seed bead in the middle. And then there's another one where I have a bling piece. And here's one where I cut them with edging scissors. And now something else that I had made are these roses. So I made a bunch that are this size, and then I did do one that's a bit bigger. And there's one where I added glitter to it. Okay, so let's get started with the tutorial. And the first flower that we're going to make is this one here. And for this, you are going to need some crepe paper. I'm just using crepe paper streamer. You'll need a pair of scissors. I'm going to use some tacky glue and some of my Tombow mono glue. And you'll need a little piece of cardstock. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to fold this into about a 2-inch square. And you'll just fold back and forth until you have 8 layers. Okay, and then once you have your 8 layers, you will just take your scissors and trim off your little stack of papers. And then you're just going to take this and you're going to cut a small little piece off there at the bottom, and then come up close to the sides, around the corner, come around that corner, come down close to the side, and then snip off just a little bit so you get these kind of petal shapes. And then just separate your petals. And you're going to take it and just kind of pinch them together as about 1/4 of an inch right there. And you're just going to take this and twist it. And then just kind of flatten your petal back out. And then you'll do this with each of the 8 petals. Okay, so you're just going to go ahead and you're going to twist all 8 of the petals. You want to make sure you don't twist too hard because you do not want to tear the crepe paper. And if you do, you can just cut another one. But anyway, just when we get those done, then we will move on to the next step. And you're going to need a circle. You could use a circle punch. I just hand cut it. And it's about a 1-inch circle. And then I take my Tombow mono and I just put it all around here. You could use hot glue. I just don't see any need for hot glue. And then you're just going to take your flower petals and you'll put it like at 6 and 12 and at 9 and 3. And then I'm going to just take a little bit more of my glue and put it over the little center and make sure I have a little bit of glue between each of the petals. And then you just come in and slightly overlap and fill in your gaps with your other 4 petals. Okay. And then if you have any gaps, just move it around a little bit. And then I needed some extra because that petal fell off. Okay, so once you have that done, then I just slightly slightly bend the edges of the circle on the back. Not a lot, just a little bit, just to give it a little shape. Okay, so now we need to make a center. And for the center, you could use little flat backs like this, or buttons. I am going to be using seed beads, and they come in different sizes. I am going to use some little black and gold ones that I have. And you just put your glue all around here in the center. And then you just put your seed beads in and kind of press them down. Take off your extras. If you have any blank spaces, you can just come in and just press a bead down onto your glue. And that completes our flowers. Okay, so next we're going to do these little spiral ones. You need a piece of paper to cut your circle out of. Now, I saw people taking things and tracing them to make circles or using punches, but I just freehand cut it. It does not have to be a perfect circle. So you just come in and cut a basic circle type shape. Pick some place to start, and then you just start doing a spiral cut into the center. And as I do this, I will slightly increase the width of the curl as I go around. And you just continue going until you get to the middle, and you want to leave a space to glue your flower down to. And once you have this done, I take my tweezers and I just hold the edge because this is easier for me. I do have arthritis and I find it hard to twist it tightly with just my fingers. Okay, and you just will continue twisting it until you have it all the way to the center. And then pull your tweezers out. And then I just let it go and let it spin out a little bit, kind of like a saucer. Then you take this and you're going to put glue. And I use tacky glue. You could use hot glue. And just put it all around in there. And then once you get that done, you just kind of place your rosette on it. And you just play with it and get it positioned the way you like it. While the glue is still wet, you have some time to move it around. Once you have it the way you want it, I turn it over and press down into the bottom. And I can still do a little adjusting if I need to. And then you have your rosette done. Okay, so now I am going to make a small one. And to do this, you just are going to cut a smaller circle. When I was doing them and I was cutting out the larger circles, there would be like a space between the two circles. And that's where I came up with the idea to come in and cut out a smaller circle rather than waste that paper. So it's the same thing. You're just going to spiral cut around till you get to the center. And once you get to the center, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to take your tweezers, or you can do it with your fingers if you don't have any problem with that. And you're just going to roll it up into a tight little cup. And then just let it spin out. Put some glue on your little piece. And the same thing, get it positioned in where you like it. Press it down, and you have a little rosette. So that's those two. Now next, we are going to do one with the edging scissors. So I have this one which is called Heartbeats. And you just take it and just start cutting out a circle shape. Okay, and then once you have it, and like this is more of an oval than a circle, it's fine. And you just start cutting in on the circle and turning your paper as you do it to adjust it. Okay, and it's the same process. Cut till you get to your center. And then I use my tweezers and just start rolling it around tightly to get a little cup. Now, sometimes with these scissors, you'll get a little piece like that where when you were turning the paper, you end up with this little loose piece. When I find those while I'm twisting it, I just cut them off and then keep going. And then once you get to the center, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to put your glue on it and let it spin out first. I'm sorry, take it off and spin it out. Then put your glue and you will do the same process. Okay, and you just get your glue on and get it arranged how you like it and get it pressed in. And sometimes because of the edging, you might need to add a little extra glue to get it in. And then like right there, I found a little spot and I'm just going to cut that out. And then that makes this rosette and that one. If when you're doing it, you find anything that looks misshapen, you can just trim it with your scissors. Okay, and so next we are going to make these little paper roses right here. And for that, I use this. This is an EK Success. It's about a 1 3/4 inch flower punch, 5-petal. And what you're going to need is 3 punches to do this with. And I use the bottom of my Tim Holtz little pick tool to round it, but you could also use the clay rounders and other things. And I use this piece of foam here, and you could use any kind of foam padding, mouse pad, several sheets of foam stacked together. You just need something that you can press into. And now I'm going to spray these with water, but before I sprayed them with water, I should have cut 2 of them, which I'll realize in just a minute. But anyway, you just lightly spray them with water. And then I usually use a paper towel to blot them with. And so that's what I'm doing here. I'm just blotting the excess water off. The water just softens them up a little bit. And this is about when I realized I hadn't cut it. So anyway, when you're doing this, on one of the petals, you want to take this and you want to cut it almost to the center. So you're just leaving a small circle in the center when you cut it in, like that. So that's normally I would do that before, but since I already sprayed these, I'll do them while they're wet. So you do that on one of the flowers. And then on the second flower, you're going to cut, but you're just going to cut just a little ways in. You're not going to cut almost to the center. You're just going to nip it just a little bit. So see, that's just a little bit, and then that one is almost to the center. Okay. So then you just take the tool, come in on your petal, press down and twist. And then you're just going to keep doing that on all of the petals. Once you have the petals done, then you take this and press down on the center and twist it. And then you come to the other one that you cut, and you do the same thing with it. And then with the one you didn't cut, you do the same thing on all the petals. But once you have all of your petals curled, you're going to turn this one upside down and press in from the back so that the petals curled the opposite way. Okay, now I just take my tweezers and I grab the edge of one of the petals and I twist it around and roll it onto itself. And then I take the petal beside it and I roll from the opposite direction and not quite as tight. Okay, so I take some of my tacky glue and I just come in and put it onto that first petal. And then I take my tweezers and slide them back in and just pull it over and get it tight and then smear the glue around. And then I'm going to slip it into that other curled petal. And you want to just get that like that. And then you're going to come in with your glue, add it to that, and then pull up on that petal. And then come in and add some more glue and pull the next petal up and overlap it And then the same thing with the last one for that center one. And then just kind of twist it. And then I use the back of my tweezers just to flatten the bottom because I like the bottom flat. Okay. Then you're going to take the other one that you cut and you're going to come in here and you're going to, right there in the center where you have that cup, you're just going to come in here and fill that in with glue. And then you're going to come up just slightly on the petals, stopping before they curve. Then you take this, place it in the center, and bring your petals up, overlapping them slightly and just bringing them in so that you have a rosebud. And I do the same thing. I flatten the bottom. And now if you wanted, you could stop right there and just have a bud. Now on this one, you put the glue into that bottom cup part. And here again, you come up a little ways on your petals, not all the way. And then you take this, place it into the center, kind of offset them just a little bit. And then you're going to start bringing them up and pinching them in. Okay, and once you have that done, I take my tweezers and I come in on the sides where it's like that fold is, and I just play with it with my tweezers a little bit to get it so it's not so prominent of an edge. And I just do this all the way around the rose. And then once I have that, I take my tweezers and I'll just grab the little edge of the rose petals and I just turn them slightly. And then I come in and I do a little bit on the second row, but just very slight. I don't do much on them. And just do this until I have my rose where I think it looks good. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to make this itty bitty teeny little rose. And I do this with these little punches. So this is an EK Success, and it's the same as my big one, except it's smaller. It's about maybe 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch. And then this little Fisker one that has the petals separated, you could use the one and cut the petals like I did on the other one, but to me this is just easier, and I have both punches. So I punch 2 of those, and then I punch 1 of the other ones. And then I'm going to take them and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to mist them with a little bit of water. Okay. And then do the same thing, blot off the excess. Now obviously I can't use that because that's as big as the whole flower. So this is a calligraphy pen and I'm just going to use the tip. You could use a paintbrush. You just want something that is a little smaller than your petals. And you do the same thing. You just press down on each petal and turn, and then press in the middle and twist to bring it up on itself. And you're going to do the same thing on your other one. And then on the one where the petals are not separated, you come in and you press. Now the difference on this and the big flowers, I don't flip that one over. I just bring it in on itself like that. Okay, now just getting my glue ready here. And I'm going to take my tweezers. And these petals are really little. And I grab the tweezers and I roll the petal onto itself and get it fairly tight. And then, so I have it rolled really tight, and then I just add some glue onto that petal and fold it into the one next to it. And this does take a little bit more manipulation because these are so little. But you're going to do that. And then when you have the second one on, you're going to come in here and you're just going to add some glue onto the 3 remaining petals. And then you're just going to kind of push them up and overlap them. And roll them around between your fingers until you get a little bitty bud. And if you need to, you can use your tweezers a little bit. Just don't swish it too much because you don't want to flatten it. And then once you have the little bud, you'll take the other one with the split petals, and you're just going to come in here and you're going to put glue all over it. And then you're going to take your little bud and center the bottom. And then you will push up all the other little petals and just use your fingers to shape it. And, you know, if you need to, you can use some tweezers to kind of pinch them together a little bit. And then once you have that all brought in together, you will move. You might have to hold it just for a little while so it kind of sticks. Okay, and then you're going to come in on this one and you're going to get glue in the center. Center it like so, and then just bring your petals up a little bit. And shape it with your fingers. And then there you go, your teeny little rose. Okay, so if you wanted to add leaves, you could take a little piece of green paper and just kind of cut a free-handed kind of wonky star out of your green paper. And once you have that cut out, you can just put that onto the bottom of your rose. I don't usually bother doing this because a lot of times when I am using my roses, if there's leaves on them, I end up pulling them off because I'm tucking them. But you could. And then here's how I glitter. I have my glitter mix in a little cup. And I usually use my Tombow. And I use the wider side. And I just come in and I just go around the edges, just kind of hit and miss. Because I just want to highlight it a little bit. I don't want it to be covered totally in glitter. And I just take it and stick it down in my glitter and shake it. And then just use my tweezers, take it out, tap off any excess, and there you go. And then the same thing like for the rose. Just come around, hit it up, drop it in there, mix it around, take off excess, and I have the rose. For these little bitty ones, I wouldn't use the bottom edge. I would use the top. And just come in, dab it, toss them in there, and shake them around, and then get my tweezers and get them out. And just tap off any excess. And there you go, there's one. And here is the other one. And our final project is going to be these cupcake liner rosettes. You can see I use buttons, flowers, bling. You can use all kinds of things for the center. And so for this project, you will obviously need some cupcake liners. You can get cupcake liners at Dollar Tree, at Michael's. You can get them anywhere. I will say the ones from Michael's are a little bit thinner and not quite as good a quality as the ones from Michael's, but they're still quite usable. Okay, so I'm just going to get some cupcake liners out here for us to use for this project. I'm going to do one from the Dollar Tree. So this is my Dollar Tree one, and for those, I just come in here and I cut the bottom out, and then I fold it onto itself, and I just kind of crinkle it around in my fingers. And then I will cut a little circle of paper. Here again, you could use a punch. I'm just going to freehand cut it. And I'm going to take my tacky glue and just put some glue there. Now I open this up and I flip it inside out, and then kind of scrunch it together, center it, stand it up, and then press it down. And I flip it over to make sure that I have the circle centered. And then you just have to decide on a center. So you could do something like flat back flowers, buttons, or whatever. And I'm just trying out some different things. And I end up deciding to go with this little clear flat back flower. Add some glitter, press it down in the center, and you have your rosette. Okay, now for the ones from Michaels, usually on the bottom there's some kind of a picture or something. A lot of times I want to save those, so I don't want to fold it and crease it. So I just pinch a little piece of it and put a little nip in it, and then I can go around and cut the circle out without folding it, and I can save the picture to use on another project. Okay, and other than this, the process is about the same. I just take it and I do kind of squish it in together. And then cut my circle out. Put glue on it and stand it up and center it. Lay it down. And then when I turn it over, I notice this one's not centered, so I just lift it up and recenter it. Now you can see part of the top. It doesn't really matter because I'm going to put a center on. And for that, I'm going to use this little white flat back flower. And then I have that rosette done. And the same thing for this small one. I'm going to cut it so that I can save the little center heart piece for another project. Roll it onto itself, do a circle, and we're going to do the same process of gluing it down and putting in a center. Now sometimes the smaller ones are slightly harder to work with and get positioned, but I really like the smaller rosettes. And then for this one, I'm going to use a little red center. These can also be used. You can put die cuts or words or anything you really want for the middle. So I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please do. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and have a wonderful crafty day.